Good evening and welcome to Just the News. I'm Faye bringing you the news again today. We have updates right now on what's happening in Karnataka as the entire clash over school children wearing hijabs has now escalated into something much worse. And because of all of the developments we had during the course of the day, to begin with, the Chief Minister of Karnataka has closed high schools and colleges for the next 3 days. This comes as the Karnataka High Court is hearing the matter as well. The Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai tweeted today, and I quote his tweet. He says, "I appeal to all students, teachers and management of schools and colleges, as well as people of Karnataka, to maintain peace and harmony. I've ordered the closure of all high schools and colleges for the next 3 days. All concerned are requested to cooperate." End quote. I'll just give you an update of everything that happened today with regard to this particular story. We'll make it quick. Like I told you, the Karnataka High Court is hearing the matter right now. The judge in the matter, Krishna S. Dikshit, said, and I quote, "Keep all emotions aside. We will go by what the Constitution says. The Constitution is above the Bhagavad Gita for me. I will go by the oath that I have taken to the Constitution." End quote. The petitioners argue that institutions are discriminating against the petitioners and other female Muslim students by denying them entry on the sole ground of them wearing the hijab. The Advocate General, who is the lawyer who represents the state of Karnataka, basically said that if the students want a relaxation of the uniform rules, they will have to approach the College Development Committee for the same, because the state has given the autonomy to the College Development Committee to make these decisions. The state says it has not intervened in the matter, which means the state government says that it has not made any rules specifically. So that really raises the big question of where this has come up from all of a sudden now, 2 months before examinations, because a lot of the students are arguing that none of the admission dockets of these colleges said that they were not allowed to wear hijab. So why has it suddenly come up now? If the state government says it has not intervened, where is this coming from? The Karnataka High Court appealed to students to maintain peace so that the peace is not disturbed. And the High Court says it has full faith in the wisdom and virtue of the public at large. It will continue to hear the matter tomorrow at 2:30. In the meantime, the protests have actually spread across the state of Karnataka. Remember, it started from Udupi. It's now in Udupi, Kundapur, Chikmagalur, Mangalore, Hassan and Mandya today. There was a face-off between Hindu and Muslim students at the MGM College in Udupi. Muslim students chanted, "We want justice," demanding their right to wear the hijab. The Hindu students wore saffron shawls and chanted Jai Shri Ram against them. The principal of the school closed the campus today and asked everyone to calm down. Things were worse in Shivamogga, where Section 144 has been brought in. An assembly of more than 5 people have been banned, according to the police. Some students began throwing stones at the government college, and some other students were injured. According to the Deccan Herald, the students who were staging a protest on college premises, demanding that authorities either permit them to wear their saffron shawls or ban the hijab, began throwing stones. In the meantime, a group of students hoisted a saffron flag at the government first grade college in Shivamogga. The government PU college in Kundapur, where most of this started, allowed Muslim students to enter the campus but seated them yesterday in a separate classroom without any lessons. Now, the college officials said this was done in order to avoid crowding at the gate, but the principal said that unless the students take off the hijab, they would not have any classes. The students remained firm that they would not take off their hijab, and so they had no classes that day. At the M. Shetty Government First Grade College in Kundapur, students in hijab were sent home. Vice Principal of the college, Usha Devi, said, "We sent the students back home. We advised them to enter the classes without hijab. They refused, so we've asked them to leave." Now, of course, everything hinging on the High Court order. In the meantime, the Madhya Pradesh government has now reacted to this story. The Madhya Pradesh School Education Minister Inder Singh Parmar has said the hijab is not part of school uniform and will be banned across the state of Madhya Pradesh from all schools starting next term. The minister said, and this is according to the Hindustan Times, and I'm quoting him, MP state government will apply strict dress code for a sense of equality and discipline among students in schools. From the next session, we will issue rules and regulations related to the uniform dress code. Hijab is not part of the uniform. It should be banned in Madhya Pradesh entirely. Of course, everything will now hinge on the Karnataka High Court and the judgment in which the court is currently examining whether this is a violation of the right to equality of these young girls, whether this is a violation of the right to practice and profess religion of these young girls, and whether the hijab is imperative to being a Muslim. These are the questions that are currently placed before the High Court of Karnataka. Moving on to COVID, the central government informed Rajya Sabha today that it has no data or no information on the number of bodies found floating in the Ganga river during the second wave of COVID last year. The Minister of State for Jal Shakti informed Rajya Sabha this in response to a question posed by TMC MP Derek O'Brien in Rajya Sabha. Reacting to it, Congress leader P. Chidambaram slammed the government and said that this is a no data available government or an NDA government. Since a number of COVID cases have been dropping, Mumbai's Mayor Kishori Pednekar has said there's good news for Mumbaikars. The city will be unlocked completely by the end of the month. She said it is essential for people to wear masks and observe social distancing, but all of the other restrictions are likely to be lifted. Kerala also has decided to remove some of the restrictions now that the numbers are dropping. In other news, the BJP has released its election manifesto for the upcoming Uttar Pradesh elections. And it mentions love jihad in the manifesto. It says a minimum imprisonment of 10 years and a fine of 1 lakh will be imposed on those found guilty of love jihad. The term is used to refer to interfaith marriages between Muslim men and Hindu women. Now, the BJP last year passed the UP Prohibition of Unlawful Conversion Religious Ordinance 2020, which is effectively the Love Jihad Act. Under that law, those found guilty would get a sentencing of 1 to 5 years and a fine of 15,000. They've decided to up that to a jail time of 10 years and a fine of 1 lakh rupees. The Delhi High Court is still hearing the matter of marital rape. Right now, it has deferred the hearing of the case of marital rape until the 21st of February and given the central government 2 weeks to place its final stand on the issue. Last week, the central government urged the court to defer the proceedings and await the outcome of a consultative process with various stakeholders. Taking a look right now at news coming in from across the world. French President Emmanuel Macron and Russian President Vladimir Putin did not reach a breakthrough after almost 5 hours of negotiation on the matter of Ukraine. Macron made a statement saying right now the tension is increasing and the risk of destabilization is increasing as well. Neither Russia nor any of Europe wants chaos or instability when nations have already suffered so much because of COVID. Britain has agreed in the meantime to send 350 troops to Poland in a move intended to demonstrate that the two countries stand together with the concerns right now in the Ukraine crisis likely to spill into Eastern Europe. This comes days after the US announced that it would send 1,700 paratroop reinforcements to Poland as well. An update on what's going on in Canada, which seems to be a situation that is bubbling over. The Canadian truckers' protest right now, we had Prime Minister Justin Trudeau say that Canadians are, and I quote, shocked and frankly disgusted by the behavior of some of the protesters, which included vandalism and racial abuse. He took to Twitter to say Canadians have the right to protest and to disagree with the government and to make their voices heard. We'll always protect that right, but let's be clear, they don't have the right to blockade our economy or our democracy or our fellow citizens' daily lives. It has to stop. You'll remember on Sunday, the mayor of Ottawa, Jim Watson, declared a state of emergency in the capital and said protesters were out of control. Quick update on what's going on in the world of sports right now. The latest rankings of the ICC Women's ODI shows Indian opener Smriti Mandhana has gained 2 places to rise to the 5th spot, while captain Mithali Raj has maintained her 2nd spot among the batters. Australia's Alyssa Healy remains in the top spot. And a piece of positive news on the environment front. There's so little positive news on the environment front. Iceland, which is one of the countries that still hunts whales commercially has announced its plan of ending whaling completely by 2024. Still 2 years away, though. The news was welcomed by campaigners who've been calling for an end of whaling in Iceland for many, many years. So right now there are 3 countries, Iceland, Norway and Japan, that permit commercial whaling. Iceland now saying it will stop in 2 years. Hopefully the other 2 will stop as well. That brings us to the end of the news. Thank you so much for watching. But also, we also have a conversation with the senior lawyer of Supreme Court, Dushyant Dave, who's normally very vocal. We're examining the legal and the fundamental rights around the hijab issue, on whether the fundamental rights of these young women are being violated and where the law stands off it. So if you want some clarity, better take a look at that video as well. Thank you so much for listening. Have a nice day.